Hi, I'm Bo Cranston, and this is my Mathematics of Gaming project results. My project was indeed the poker tournament. Okay, so let's go through an overview of the strategy. So I needed a way to determine the quality of the hand, and then rank that hand using the poker dealer. I needed to adjust the aggressiveness of my bot based on the position at the table and the bot's pot odds of the current move. So if the hand confidence is greater than the threshold of an action, then that action will be called. So some of these thresholds will include a call threshold. So that is the quality that the hand needs in order to call. A raise threshold, which includes the quality of the hand needed to raise, and an all-in threshold, which tells the bot to go all in. Okay, so to understand the strategy, we got to go over some of the definitions. I would say probably the most important one is hand confidence. So hand confidence is the quality of the hand. This number comes from the likeliness of improving the hand, plus the fraction of how good the current hand is versus the best possible hand based on the cards that are on the table. Let me show you a demo. So as previously stated, the hand confidence is the probability that the hand will improve plus the ratio of best hand to my current hand. So to find the best hand to my current hand ratio, I need to disregard the whole cards and only look at the table cards, and then with these two empty slots, I'm gonna loop through every single possible whole card combo that isn't my own, and I'm gonna rank it. And every single time I loop, I'm gonna be saving the best rank, and then from there I will get my best hand. The way that hand improvement probability works very similarly to how the best hand versus current hand ratio works. So what's going to happen is we have our table cards here and we have our whole cards. So this is our hand. So getting the improvement probability, we're going to look one move ahead, so one river card placement ahead, and we're going to simulate all possibilities of what the next river card can be. So it's going to loop through a deck, and let's say the river card is 8. So now we have 6 cards here, but it will take the best 5. So it will take this 8, and it will probably remove the 3. So then that way we have a pair instead of just a high 8 card. Each time it sees an improvement, it will add to a counter, and that counter is going to be run against the total amount of moves, and then that gives us our chance of improving. Okay, so back to the definitions. The hand improvement probability I have defined as the likelihood of improving the current hand, which contributes to the hand confidence. This probability is acquired by looking at the cards available and looping through a deck to simulate a river card being added, and records each time that the hand rank is improved divided by the number of cards tested. If the river is full, then the hand improvement probability is 0. The pot odds is the fraction of the current pot being betted on versus the bet itself. So in other words, it's the current bet divided by the current pot. So as you can see here, if the current bet or the current pot is 0, then it won't have any effect on the calculations. Player aggressiveness adjusts the call threshold and the raise threshold based on the position of the player and the pot odds. So as stated before, if the pot odds are 0, it will not contribute to the player aggressiveness. So more about the strategy is that I was going to use a payoff metrics to determine my opponent moves and try to take advantage of suboptimal play. I had very little success with this part, but we'll go into that later. So the concept of thresholds, in order to take a certain action was actually heavily inspired by perceptrons in machine learning. So shout out to Sam Scott. Let's get right into the code. So due to time constraints, I'm not going to get into every single nitty-gritty detail, but what I will go into is the choose action method. So what's going to happen is there's these booleans which set the actions all to false. It's then going to set the player's aggressiveness based on these default values. So the position weight, pot odds weight, those are just how much the pot odds and the player's position is going to affect the calculation. So the higher these numbers are, the lower their impact will actually be. And that is just because we are dividing by the pot odds weight to affect the value less. So basically, without the player aggressiveness, the player will actually play as aggressively as possible. So this is more so of like a aggression mediator. So after the player aggressiveness is set, we're gonna see if we can call. If we can call, and this is post flop, then we'll check the hand confidence against the call threshold. If it's greater, then it's true. This is pre-flop, so if the bet is greater than 200, then we don't really want to call, just because we don't know what the river is going to be at all. So it doesn't really make sense to call unless if it's a low risk bet. So this determines a raise. So if the hand confidence is greater than the raise threshold, then we should raise. And then if it's pre-flop, we're only going to raise if the hole cards are really good. And then for a fold, if the hand confidence doesn't meet the call threshold requirements, then it will fold. And pre-flop, it will fold if the current bet is a lot and our hole cards are not very good. So here is where we check which of these Boolean flags, these three. So we're going to check which one of them are true. So there's a kind of like a priority, right? So call has the lowest priority, so if should call is true, that can be superseded by should raise, and then should raise is superseded by should fold. So if the should fold is true, then it will absolutely fold. So seeing the bot in action, we can see that our hole cards are given to us. We get a call threshold, and then we go through the turn, and then as soon as we get our flop, then we have a full hand. So that means we can get our hand confidence. Since the hand confidence is greater than the call threshold, and it's also greater than the raise threshold, it will in fact raise. So Randy McRandom is going to raise, and then it goes to me, and I'm going to raise. And then it goes through the term as normal, and just as expected, I end up with the win. And speaking of wins, how I was able to determine win percentages was I put the main method inside of this static block here and ran the program 100 times. Unfortunately, I'm unable to show this in this video because each run takes about 5 minutes. So this was a run that I did facing all of the bots at the same time. So yeah, it literally just runs the main method 100 times, and then it will give me a wins to runs output. 28% against all of the bots is not a very good win percentage. There's a lot of problems with my strategy, so let me go through them. So probably the biggest issue with my strategy is that most bots are not rational, therefore I cannot change my strategy based on their moves because there's nothing my bot can gain by tracking my opponent's moves. Because of this, implementing game theory into my bot was out of the question, and since the bots are not rational, it was very easy for the bots to take advantage of my program's dynamic behavior without even trying. So as you can see in this little graphic, my bot definitely got taken advantage of with only a 3.7% win percentage. So that was basically because the call bot and the max bot, they would continuously call these crazy big calls, and my bot had no way of determining that as rational. So an example of that can be seen right here, where the bot will call, but this is pre-flop, so none of the river cards are there yet, so my bot doesn't see this as a rational call, therefore my bot folds and the bot takes the 200 chips. This happens again and again until my bot is finally defeated. So after this embarrassing display against the call bot, I decided to make my bot a little bit more aggressive. I read an article on raising preflop and how to effectively be more aggressive. I tweaked how the bot reacts to situations preflop and came up with this solution. If the whole cards have the same suit, are a pair, or contain two high cards, then raise on the preflop. This tweak helped my bot struggles with irrational calls quite a bit, especially preflop, but only to a certain extent. My bot still ended up struggling with the call bot more than anything, but something that I don't know here is that my bot actually ended up doing way better against all of the other bots. So other ways my bot was easily taken advantage of was by the fold bot, because basically what would happen was my bot's betting was a little bit faulty, and it would sometimes it would call at first, and then it would get the flop cards and then realize, oh, this is a bad hand, and then it would end up folding after its call, which means it lost more money than the flop was losing, which means that the flop eventually beat me out easily. So I took a page out of the call bot's book, and I made sure that my bot would only fold at the start or not at all, and the bot would only fold at the start if the bet was greater than 200 and the whole cards were not very good. Since the bet never reached over 200, my bot could consistently call and win the pots while the fold bot slowly met its demise. There's no point in doing a project if you haven't learned anything. So what I learned is, while doing research on how to be a good poker player, I learned that a common beginner's mistake is folding way too often and letting players take advantage of you. I can say that I definitely ended up applying this beginner's mindset to my poker bot at first, which drastically hurt the performance of my bot. A couple other things I learned was trying to predict and react to opponents' moves using game theory was completely unreasonable because none of the bots perform in their own best interest since they aren't intelligent. Another thing I learned is relying on the probability of my hand moving up was a big help to analyzing the situation and making the right decision. These were the final results. So against the fold bot, I did really well because I was able to take advantage of the fact that the bot was never going to call, which means that every single time I had a rational call, I was able to get some money out of it, while the bot was always losing money. Against the call bot, I still struggled since some of my calls were deemed as irrational, which let the bot take advantage of my folds. The max bot I did better against since it would burn out after calling max and failing. The random bot I did really well against because the random bot was just playing randomly, and all of my calls were completely based on rationale, meaning that I could outplay the bot. And then against all bots, I didn't do as well as I hoped, with just 28% win percentage. These are the conclusions I came to. Since poker is a game with a ton of human elements, such as bluffing, and its state space the size of the moon, it is much too complex to go about any sort of analytical solution. Much like Yahtzee, there's simply no way to account for all the factors and all the unknowns. So competing against the irrational bots was a lot more challenging than I realized. My theory was that if I play optimally and use game theory, I can guarantee that my opponent will lose since I am playing optimally and they will be playing suboptimally. But this was a naive solution since A, playing optimally in poker is nearly impossible, and B, the irrational behavior of my opponents affected what my bot considered to be the optimal move, and my bot was often tricked into thinking a bad move was optimal. So these are my sources. So this is where I got the raise preflop idea. These were some basic poker probabilities from Wikipedia. And I got some poker strategy basics here, and this is where I learned to play for position and play for pot odds. And then this is GTO versus exploitative poker, which helped me come to the realization that I could use game theory to help my poker play. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.